Hello and welcome to Books with Alison. Today we are talking about a couple PTSD books, health, relationships, and life. So books that I have read and pulled up are Alice Miller's The Body Never Lies, her book, The Drama of the Gifted Child, The Deepest Well by Dr. Nadine Harris, and then Karyl McBride wrote Will I Ever Be Good Enough? So I was reading The Body Keeps a Score and I couldn't get through it. I don't know why. There was just something about it. It's been on my shelf for a few years now. I hate to admit it, but I just couldn't get into it. I knew there was something there. It was pretty good. And then a couple months ago, I was in a Facebook group and they're talking about how the author of that book was actually under lawsuits for abusing the women in his PTSD program. And everyone was just kind of blown away and upset. And they were talking about books you should be reading instead of his. And these are the ones that came up. So I started with Alice Miller's The Body Never Lies, The Lingering Effects of Harmful Parenting. This book is excellent. I actually recommend it to a lot of my patients as well, because talking about abuse and trauma from childhood and how it impacts the body, how we store it in our body, how a lot of chronic illnesses resonate and stay in our bodies. And she's very straightforward. She does not mess around. There is no sugarcoating on Alice Miller's writing. She is a therapist. She's out of Germany. This book was written in 2004, so it's relatively new. And she has a ton of books. Now, she goes right for the throat of the parents. And I think this is wonderful because we don't have to build up to this fear around talking about how your parents treated you or how you were raised. And the women I work with in my functional medicine program, they have a lot of concerns about their mothers and how they were raised. And the most simplest things I can think of is, even though they were a very healthy, young, fit woman growing up, really young girl, they were still dragged to Weight Watchers. They were still put on the scale every single day and talked about their weight and their fat, or maybe they bought clothes that were too small for them, being told, well, you'll lose weight and you'll fit into it. I mean, those are like the baseline things, let alone sexual abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse. And then they come to me going, well, I want to lose weight, or my hormones are out of whack. And I'm like, I can help you. But every call that comes up, they're still talking about their mom or their dad or their, or there's something there. And I'm not a therapist. I cannot coach them through this. So I really thought that this was a great book to talk about family history, the morality of the body. It was wonderful. And it really gave us some good insight. So I'm trying to find where she says it, but she said, essentially, growing up, that we're taught, what commandment is it? I can't remember, and it's not in here where I'm going to find it easily, so I apologize, but obey your parents, right? We have to obey our parents, and that's what a lot of us were raised as. This is the biblical truth. Parents know everything, and then all of a sudden you wake up and you realize, wow, this is not good, and how it lives in your body. So I highly recommend that. I have not finished The Drama of the Gifted Child. It is very similar, but it also has kind of a different view of it as well. So this is specifically for people who are overachievers, who are really focused on making everybody happy. So when my husband saw this, The Drama of the Gifted Child, like, oh, this person thinks they're special because they're so gifted. And she says in her book, on the first few pages, that this is not about intellectual gifted child where we think, oh, they're so smart, they're so gifted. It's more of the child who has these gifts to give away, which is, working for other people, taking care of other people, putting themselves last so other people can be happy, neglecting themselves. And it's a wonderful read, and very helpful for understanding your own emotions, validating your own emotions as well. Along those lines of parenting is also the Will I Ever Be Good Enough? And this is a book for daughters who struggle with narcissistic mothers or parents who ever raised them. And it gives a lot of great information. So this is another book that I often refer my patients to as well, because when you've been emotionally manipulated for the majority of your life and you don't know if your thoughts are real or how you feel is real, or you don't understand how someone who is supposed to love you could treat you so horribly, honestly, this is a great book for that. So she gives also some excellent tactics on how to move forward and how to continue a relationship with someone who you want to have in your life, but maybe you don't have good boundaries with. She talks about boundary setting. This is the first book by a psychologist or therapist who said it's okay to not have a relationship with the people who abuse you. And I think that was really profound. So most everybody else I've ever read or talked to or listened to on these topics has always said, well, you have to forgive, you have to mend the relationship, you have to change yourself. And that goes back to the drama of the gifted child. You have to be better to make them happy. No, you actually don't. You can live your life, be happy the way you are, take care of yourself, put yourself first. And this book teaches you how to do it, and also recognize how you've been treated, and to say, oh, okay, this was narcissistic, abusive behavior. And even for yourself, going, okay, now I have my own relationship, my own spouse, my own children. How am I treating them? What behaviors am I continuing? And I need to stop. The last book is The Deepest Well by Dr. Harris. I'm about a quarter of the way through. So I actually am breaking my own rules, which is I'm not allowed to do a book report on YouTube until I finish the book. But I think it's good. I think it's probably on the same level of The Body Keeps the Score, where it has a lot of medical background, but not a lot of here's how to move forward. At least I haven't uncovered that yet. So it talks a lot about the research behind physical trauma, abuse to future events like heart attacks, high blood pressure, cancer, where you live, where you grew up, poverty, how that affects us, crime, how that affects us. So this was and is great. I believe that as it continues, it will probably be good. It says healing the long-term effects of childhood adversity. And while we might think that we're fine, we've moved on, our body can really be affected by this still. So those are the extra books on trauma, parenting, and honestly, abuse that I would highly recommend if this is something that you're struggling with. Again, like I said, with the book Lifting Heavy Things, read through these with a therapist. And as you're working through this, you don't want to be alone as you go through these challenges. So you can be online, you can do Zoom, you can do telemedicine with therapists now. Is wonderful. So thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know what you're reading right now. I'd love to expand my collection. Make sure you like and subscribe so you can stay tuned with all of our weekly videos, and we'll see you next time.